Welcome to Modern Musings, conversations with the maiden, mother, and crone. Looking at ourselves and the world through the lens of the 21st century. Welcome back. I'm your hostess, Amber Garvin, and I'm here with my two co-hosts, Kristen Hessler and Cindy Murray.
Howdy.
Hey.
So this week, we are talking about gaming and games, which is a really fun topic, something I really like.
I'm excited.
I know. We were talking about this earlier, talking about gaming and games. And as the three of us, we like playing games. In fact, Cindy has a monthly game night at her house.
Yes, I do.
So we all three grew up playing games with our family, and then I grew up playing video games with my parents. We got a regular first generation Nintendo when it first came out. I remember when I was a little kid, and we used to play it all the time. And before that, my parents, and we still played it, had an Atari. So gaming, I always grew up gaming. I liked playing computer games. And, you know, now that I have a smartphone, I like to play games on my smartphone. And probably the one that I play the most on my smartphone is Clash of Clans. And I've been playing.
I've looked at that one.
Yeah.
That one looks interesting.
Yeah, and I've been playing it for years. And I know there's a game that Kristen plays on her computer, I think, or on her phone.
It's on my phone called Ebony.
Yeah, and she's been trying to get me to play that. So we all kind of, and we just want to talk about games. So, ladies, let's jump in. What are your favorite games?
Well, I started, as a kid, I loved games. And it was board games, card games, dice games, whatever, I'm ancient. I'm the crone. So we're talking before there were video games. And, we used to play Monopoly, Life, Yahtzee, Operation Mousetrap, Hearts, Spades, Slapjack, Nerds.
Nerds. Oh my gosh. I just recently learned how to play Nerds. I love Nerds. So
and I haven't played it in forever, so you'll have to remind me how to play.
I've never even heard of it. So
and then, and we used to play, I used to play solitaire, and I know a couple of different ways to play solitaire that I love also.
You know, my grandma used to play solitaire all the time, just with a deck of cards,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, and dominoes, my whole family. That was a family reunion kind of thing. They'd always set up a card table and play dominoes and stuff. So I've been around games my whole life. And, as a teenager, the Atari came out and things like that. We had an Atari. We played Pac-Man. And I love pinball machines and the video games
going
at
to
the arcade and
Dave
stuff
and
like
Buster's.
Well, there was no Dave and Buster's when I was a kid. But the local pizza parlor had a couple of pinball machines and a Pac-Man and a Centipede, so we could do that or whatever. And so, I love that. And really what's been cool to me is that these old arcade games are making a comeback. And there's all these places where you can go, and one of them's called Free Play.
Yeah, I was just thinking of Free Play.
And I can't remember there's a couple of different ones. And you just pay a certain fee, and all the games are free, and you just walk around and play. And Mark and I like to go to the Texas Pinball Festival, which has been canceled for several years because of COVID, but I'm hoping they'll make a comeback next year, and hopefully we can do that. That's a lot of fun too. But yeah, I mean, we've really, we've had, I think my family has had like every video game iteration except for a PlayStation.
So, I had it.
And Kristen had it. Yeah. So we've had Atari, Nintendo, Sega, everything. We had an Xbox.
We just didn't have a GameCube.
Yeah, that's true. No GameCube, but
we had all the Game Boy and
I don't have the new Nintendo, the Switch. That's the new one. I don't have a Switch. And that's probably just because we're so busy, we probably wouldn't play it anymore. We actually...
It's really hard to just sit down and play those types of games unless you have a lot of free time.
Right. Well, and we used to have more free time before the invention of the internet. And, so our gaming has moved from those types of games to things we play on our phone and things we play on our computers or whatever. And like you mentioned, we have a monthly game night. So we have a lot of favorite games board games and things like that we play. But yeah, we used to play a lot of video games, but we, as the kids grew up and moved out, there just wasn't, some of those games we played as multiplayer games, and they're much more fun to play with more than one person. We like to play head-to-head games and things like that too, so when we quit playing those games, we divided them up between the kids. So all the kids got we had a couple of Sega Saturns and we had a couple of Xboxes, and we had a original
Sega
Genesis and a Nintendo, and I don't know. So we just divided them up with the kids, and they all got a collection of them. And we felt good about that because the kids can still play it. If I really want to go play whatever that game, then Super Mario Brothers, I can go over to Kristen's house and break out the Super Mario Brothers if I want to or whatever.
Yeah, we have like 3 Nintendo consoles.
So yeah, I mean, that was the kind of fun thing about that. But yeah, we played a lot of games, and like I said, Kristen has. And likewise, we went through our board game collection, just because we wound up with a bunch of games that we don't really play anymore, and so we wound up splitting those up as well, and sent some of those off to Kristen and Steven and my brother. Like, we had a not a huge, but a moderate,
a pretty big size
collection of Dungeons and Dragons. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I gave, my brother loves miniatures, and he plays a lot of miniature gaming kind of stuff. So I sent him all of the D&D stuff, but I think we kept the BattleTech stuff. I think that was the only miniature gaming that we kept. And I think I gave Kristen all of our Traveler role-playing games. Mm-hmm. So it's played similar to Dungeons and Dragons, but it's set in a sci-fi universe, so instead of a fantasy universe. And that was
pretty fun.
That was one of my favorite role-playing games
have talked about starting that up again, like making that our family game night.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's a really fun game, but you have to have a dedicated group of people to play it.
Yeah.
And somebody has to forfeit the role of being a player in order to be in this case it's called a ref instead of a dungeon master. But somebody has to take on that role, and it's a little more demanding. So that's one of the reasons we quit playing, because we always had a different ref that did the games for us. And when we quit playing with him, we didn't have anybody to do it. So that made it a real challenge. But I like those role-playing games, and I like the video games that are simulations of role-playing games. And we had a big collection of Dungeons and Dragons games that we played. It was all a group, and we had different players, that all played together and go on quests and stuff. And
you guys played the original Final Fantasy.
Yes, we did.
There's so many versions now.
And it doesn't even look like Final Fantasy anymore. Yeah. Same thing with Zelda. That Zelda was probably one of my favorite original Nintendo games. The original Legend of Zelda. And I swear, we played that game so much. We had to take turns, and it was like we set a timer and would take turns at it. And SimCity, the original SimCity also.
Oh,
I love those games.
I remember that one.
And along those lines of the SimCity, we had Sim Ant, Sim Earth, Sim Farm, which was a precursor to Farmville.
Oh, wow.
And I never did play Farmville, though. I never played Farmville.
I never got into Farmville.
I didn't.
There was a Facebook game. It wasn't Farmville. I know there were like some Facebook games that I like playing. Like there was one called Knighthood, and then there was like a plant one.
Oh, remember that one where you could send people plants?
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
It wasn't really like a game, but it was like a collection.
Yeah, you collected.
Yeah,
plants.
that was like before Farmville.
Yeah, the only one I played on Facebook. Well, I played one that was like a weird variation of Yahtzee, and I don't even remember what it was called.
Oh,
and
I remember that.
And it wasn't very good. And then I played Gardens of Time, and I loved Gardens of Time. I had this really elaborate garden, and I would collect all the parts, and it would be like really pretty, and the road went through, and it went from one era of time to another era of time, and I just had all these really cool things in there. And my favorite part of it, that I didn't even like. That wasn't my favorite part. My favorite part was the finding the hidden items. I love that challenge of finding those hidden items, like kind of like the Highlights magazine. Yeah. What doesn't belong in this picture, And
I think I played that one.
I loved that game. And then something happened, and they reset the game or something, and it was like during a period of a couple of days where I wasn't on, and I think there was something that you had to do to save your game, and I didn't know it because I didn't get on in those 2 days or whatever, and they wiped out my game. Wiped it out.
What happened to me with Farmville. I was playing Farmville kind of on and off, but pretty often. Like I would just go in there and tinker with it, like in 2009, 2010, and then I started working for my new company, so I was like kind of busy and not really playing online game. And I guess I stopped playing it for a while, and then all of a sudden it disappeared. Like it's gone now, right? Farmville's gone.
I don't know that it exists. I don't know that.
I don't really think that you can play it anymore.
Yeah, I don't think the Gardens of Time exists either. And like I said, I love those games. I don't play anything on. I don't even know if there are games on Facebook anymore.
I think there still are. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the Candy Crush and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah.
It's
That's
just
true.
not as easy to get to it because they changed their platform on Facebook.
Yeah, a lot of things have changed. It used to be
most
like
people
really
play
easy
it on their
the
phone now, like on the app. So,
right.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people get on Facebook on their desktop anymore. It's mostly on their phone.
Their phones. That's
I know,
true.
like the only time I get on Facebook on my desktop is to link the blog.
Oh yeah,
to work on the blog.
That's
stuff
the only time I get on Facebook really at all. Is to get to do marketing for my travel agency or things like that. So, I don't really get on Facebook at all, but I do play games on my phone. I used to do hanging with friends with a friend of mine, which is like Hangman. And we had a long-term back and forth for years. And then I guess the manufacturer of that game didn't update it to the new iOS. And so I don't think it exists anymore. I need to go back and look and see if it does, but I don't think it does.
That's the story of my life is I have all these old games. Like I'm perfectly hunky-dory playing SimCity 2000.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like finding a way to play it now.
Right.
Like my computer doesn't cooperate with it,
I mean, you can play the Sims or whatever Sims free play on your phone.
But it's not the same.
Sims is not the same as SimCity. Yeah.
Right. And like the Sims 2 and the Sims free play aren't the same either because they've added a bunch of stuff, and I'm just like, I just like the bare bones.
Yeah.
See, I haven't really played the Sims in a couple of years now. I know when my dad was in the hospital and he was really sick and dying, that was one of the things that got me through like being in the hospital was playing The Sims.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's really odd, but
you say that, and I'm thinking, you know what? One of the things that I did a lot when I was diagnosed with cancer, I had right before that, I think I had started playing Word Brain on my phone, and so when I got diagnosed with cancer, I felt like I was spending my life in the doctor's office all the time, lots of waiting, and so I just took my phone and I would play Word Brain. And it's just a word. It's kind of like playing the Boggle game.
Yeah.
So you've got these little tiles with letters, and you're just trying to connect them to make words. And then as you move words out because you've made a word with it, the tiles fall. So it's a little bit different than Boggle. But I got up to this huge level on that, and then I lost my phone. Which sucked. So I had to start over again.
Oh, you didn't link it to an account. Yeah.
No, it's not. It's specific to your phone. It doesn't transfer from one phone to another. I actually talked to the manufacturers about it because I was like, "Where's my game?" And but anyway, so I started over, and I've gotten way further than that. And they actually came out with a Word Brain 2. I've never played it because they keep adding more levels to the one I'm on, and it is so complicated right now. I think the grid is now like, I don't know, 10 or 12 or 15 across.
Oh wow.
And yeah, so it's pretty complex, and sometimes the words are really hard to find. But I love that one. I can spend a lot of time playing that one.
You're talking about games and like getting through like a trying time. Amber had mentioned, Ebony. So that one is one of those games where you pull the pin, you just see the little advertisements for the games where you get the treasure if you do like. So that one is a bait and switch game, but we always joke in the game that we play the game for the puzzles, but there's like 5 puzzles. Well, there's like one for every level. You have to level your castle up, and once you level your castle, you get to play another puzzle. So there's like, 30 levels.
Yeah.
And this is one of those games like Clash of Clans where you like attack other castles and stuff. But I started playing that game shortly before the lockdown. I think it was like mid-February of 2020. And it was nice to have like people online to talk to, because this is like a game where you actually like talk with people.
Right.
And like, you have like an alliance with people, and you like work together to do things for your alliance. And so like I made friends on this game, that I still, talk to every day. And like I thought about quitting the game when things got kind of busy around the holidays, and there's like the podcast and the blog and work. And like I literally cried because I was like, but I'll miss my friends. I need to play my game. So I still log in and play my game just because I like spending the time with the people, and I felt like that game got me through.
Oh yeah.
COVID, because it was like something to do every day, even though I wasn't getting out and doing stuff.
See, I've been playing Clash of Clans for probably about 10 years. Actually, probably since 2009, 2010. Around the time it came out. So I've been playing it for quite a while, but I haven't really played it consistently where I've made friends on there. Like I've been in different clans, and there's one that I've been in off and on the past few years, and they recently kicked me out because it was the end of the school year and I wasn't very active, even though they knew I was a teacher, but I guess that wasn't
That's
good
not
enough.
a good enough excuse.
Not a good enough excuse.
Now, those people are hardcore in those games.
Yeah, they really are.
It's just a phone game, But this game is really deep and in depth, and there's a lot of strategy to it. I'm like holding it in my hand, thinking this game is like so extra, for just this tiny little thing on my phone. There's like a million people playing it, from all over the world. Like I have a friend in England that I talk to, and I would have never met her, and I've never met her in person, but playing this game, and it's a deep game. It's not like playing solitaire,
and my games, except for the Words with Friends, which I 99.9% of the time play only with people that I know.
Yeah.
Once in a while I'll get a stray person that'll invite me to a game and I'll play, but I don't go out seeking other people to play with, and it's a one-on-one thing anyway. So you're playing a one-on-one. I may have like 5 games going on, but it's in the game. It's that one person. But all my other games like Word Brain and Can You Escape, which is like an escape room, basically. Mm-hmm. They're all solo play. I don't generally play games. I have a trivia game that I used to play. That was a solo game. Picture IQ is for the most part a solo game. You can ask for help from your friends, but it's really a solo game too. And I don't know what happened to that one either. It just quit working too. So, but yeah, I tend to play. I guess it's because of the way I play and when I play, because I don't set aside time to play. I just do it while I'm waiting, at the doctor's office or on an appointment, or if I'm on hold on a phone call or, whatever. That's when I tend to play my games. It's a time killer. So.
Well, that makes sense.
I mean
sometimes it is like that for me also. That's probably why I got kicked out of my clan, because I haven't been consistently getting online and participating in raids or anything like that.
Yeah. And I get my competitive nature out in our board games, because like you mentioned, we have a family game night once a month at family friends, whoever wants to come, really. We call it family game night, but it's whoever's here. And that stems back from the time when Mark and I first started dating, and we were playing Traveler, the role-playing game, or we would play, different board games. And that actually stemmed from his younger years, from before I came into the picture. He and his friends used to get on their Commodore 64 and play this game called Elite. And every Friday night they would get together and they would take turns. And they could each go on like one mission. This is like a wireframe space mission, and you go out and you buy commodities and you take them somewhere and you sell them, and you have shoot 'em up things, with pirates or whatever. And so they would actually take turns at this game, because it wasn't even a multiplayer game. They would have to reboot the game, with the new player in every time. And they'd save their characters, but they would do one. You had the opportunity to go out and do one mission or whatever, and then you'd dock and you'd sell whatever you had or whatever, and then that was the end of your turn, and then somebody else would sit down and play. But they did that every Friday night for years and years and years before I came along. And so then and then they had moved on to other board games and stuff like that, and we've done like I said, the role-playing games, and we've played computer games together. And when we some of our friends moved away, and then we moved to the Dallas area, and we quit doing that. And so I just kind of miss that. So Kristen and I were talking about that. I guess it was last year when we first started doing our power sheets. I tell you, people, these things always tie together somewhere. So we first started doing power sheets, and we started talking about our goals. And both of us had a goal of some kind of family game night. That was something we both were looking forward to doing. And we did play games like at Christmas or whatever.
Yeah.
But we weren't doing it on a regular basis. And so when we've got this closet, I have this huge closet full of board games. And so we said, you know what? We need to start doing that again. And so last year we started doing that every month, and we've just kept it up all this time. And it's been a great family bonding thing for us. And I mean, we've even got Raina doing it, and Travis looks forward to it. And it's just a fun thing for our family to do. And we play all these different games, and some of them are the old games that we had from years back, we had some old a board game called Dungeon that was based off of Dungeons and Dragons, and another board game, I think it was Mayfair Games made it, called Cosmic Encounters. We had a lot of sci-fi type games, but we're also like into some of the newer games like Ticket to Ride and
Settlers of
Catan and Firefly and things like that. And you see the theme here with the sci-fi stuff. But I mean, and we also play, Cards Against Humanity and Joking Hazard, or
we played Trivial Pursuit.
Oh my God,
80s edition,
and
like
prove how stupid we are. Yes, those things are so hard. I've never been any good at those. You think you know those categories until they start asking you this really weird, obscure stuff that nobody knows. And that game would be so much fun if it was more not quite so obscure, I think. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, we just do whatever. The game, it's not so much the game that matters, it's the competitiveness of it and just the camaraderie of playing together. Mm-hmm. And I always miss that. So now we have it again, and I really like that.
Yeah, growing up, I mean, I was a really little kid when you guys did game night. And, Steven was a baby when y'all did your Friday night gaming with your friends. And I always wanted to play, but you guys were like, no, you're not old enough. You're not old enough. And then I finally got old enough, and then it was like, we don't have enough players. We don't have enough players because we moved.
Yeah.
And it was like, finally there's enough people to play these games. And now sometimes we have too many
people to play the games because some of the games only play 4 people.
And now it's like too many games and not enough time because now I have inherited half the games. And I literally have an entire double door closet full of games and a garage, like shelving system that has games.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, wow, I have too many games.
Well, I think I kind of, last time I moved, I kind of went down on my games, but I have a good cabinet full of games that I never get to play. And I know that I really don't consistently show up to game night or bring the games. So
yeah, well, we've actually talked about on our game night, because we've got, if the whole family is here, not counting Amber, we've got 7 players. And so then, if we get Amber to come, or our some of our other friends, if anybody else shows up, we may have 8 or 9 players or whatever. And there's hardly any of these games that play that. I mean, we could do a Cards Against Humanity or stuff, but even a lot of those we can't play because Raina's
not old enough.
Old enough to play. And so, so we have to kind of be careful with that too. But we've started talking about, I've got a dining room and a kitchen dinette, so, maybe we'll do one game in the dining room and one game in the kitchen, and we can switch and swap out, if we can get started early enough that we can play multiple games. So, I mean, that's one way to do it as well. So, but yeah, we have a lot of fun games, and I really like playing a lot of them. And I'm up for any kind of game. I will take out the dice and play Rat's Ass, and or Yahtzee, or
heard of that one.
Huh?
I've never heard of
Isn't
that.
that called Farkle?
It's also called Farkle.
Okay.
And
that makes more sense.
Yeah. But I'll play Yahtzee. I'll play, I'll get out the mousetrap and play mousetrap, whatever. So, there's just a lot of fun things I just think games are fun.
Yeah. I want to say that my favorite board game of all time, and I can never get anybody to play with me, is Clue.
Oh, I love Clue.
Oh, Raina loves Clue.
We need to have
next time we do game night, we need to play. I've got a Clue game.
I have a Clue game. I love Clue.
Yeah.
That's like your favorite movie too.
It is my favorite movie, Tim Curry. Yes,
the movie with multiple endings.
Yeah, one of my favorite movies. Cult classic, definitely.
Yeah, I love all those games. Like I said, I grew up playing those games, and I loved playing them.
See, my parents had the VCR Clue game.
Oh, wow.
That you popped it in the VCR, and it was kind of like a movie, but you also played the game while you were watching it. And I used to play it by myself all the time just to watch the movie.
That's funny.
But I love Clue.
Well, and going to the VCR and the thing, that reminds me of game shows, which we didn't even think about
we
talking
didn't even
about that.
think of that, but that is a game.
It is a game, and I love any of the game shows that you can play along with, like Jeopardy and
Wheel of Fortune,
or any of those. I
Family
love those.
Feud. Travis and
I love
if
Family
that's on
Feud.
the TV. Oh my gosh! If it's on
favorites.
the TV, it will get watched, and then the next one will get watched, and then the next one, and it's like,
you can just put Family Feud on the TV.
Oh, I know.
And just record Family Feud and just watch it.
I actually have some recorded on
when
my
I first
TiVo.
got TiVo, first got a DVR, I recorded Wheel of Fortune every day.
Oh, yeah.
My grandma
and then I would
used to do
save
that.
them up and watch them on a weekend.
I love those.
Am I the only one who does that?
No, you are not.
No, you're not. You're definitely not.
I have a TiVo full of Family Feud. A TiVo full of Family Feud.
Family Feud and Deal or No Deal. That was another game show that
I never really watched that one very much, but
I don't think it's on TV anymore, but there was one that I really like to watch, and it was called The Wall. Have y'all ever seen that?
I've heard of that one. I have not watched it.
It's kind of like a huge Plinko.
Uh-huh.
But
because that was everyone's favorite on the Price
yes,
is Right.
Price is Right.
Yeah,
yes.
it was like kind of like a huge Plinko, which is why I liked it, but with trivia questions.
Oh,
so you answer the trivia question correctly, and then get to drop the ball.
I actually think that because it's like it's a team, like a family member.
A family, husband, wife, brother, sister.
One of them's dropping it, and one of them's answering the questions.
Yeah, and you don't get to see the other person.
That may still be on. I think I saw that the other day.
That does kind of sound...
I was trying to
I watch it on Hulu, old episodes of it.
Oh, okay. That's cool. I always liked, the Price is Right and Let's Make a Deal and all of those, too. Of the
Where
newer
in the
ones.
world is Carmen Sandiego?
Oh, yeah.
Old school.
Oh, yeah.
Old school.
Yeah, well, and we used to like to watch. My son loved Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually had a board game of that one too, and it was very hard.
You could play along with that one too. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Because we'd always try to make the guess. Well, we actually go to trivia night sometimes. The NTN trivia. I don't know if that's what it's called anymore, but I think Buffalo Wild Wings has it, and
the bars that have the electronic gaming
trivia stuff, and we love that. I love trivia like that. So, that's a different kind of gaming, but it's still gaming.
Yeah,
and I want to know what do you guys think? What is it that makes us enjoy gaming? Because I know other people who are not competitive and don't like to game. And I know people who are competitive but don't like to game. So what is it, do you think, that makes us enjoy gaming so much?
I know when it comes to board gaming, it's the strategy.
Yeah.
For me, it's just like being with people and enjoying people's company and having good
laughs. Okay, like so fun. Like the board games, I hardly ever win. My dad always wins when we play board games, and then my mom, and then my brother, and then me. I am like the one who never wins. And now Ashley and Travis are playing, so I have 2 other people that also never win with
You've
me.
You've won, though, recently.
I have, yes. Like Settlers of Catan, I can win that one. But majority of the games, I don't win. So I go in with the thought, I'm probably not going to win. I'm just here to play. And I have fun and enjoy the company.
Well, you know, I do that too.
And sometimes I actually do really good because I'm not trying to win.
Well, I actually want to win. I do want to win. I'm very competitive. Well, I like to win. But I think I often also go into it, I want to finish in the best possible way. You know, I want to get the highest score that I can get, or I want to finish the strongest that I can. You know, my own personal it's my own personal challenge. A personal best or whatever.
I guess I'm not that competitive because, I just, kind of like Kristen, I just go in and play and know I'm probably not going to win. But then again, I also have pretty decent luck when it comes to games, especially like luck-based games. I don't know why. But strategy games, not so much, but just like luck-based random games I'm pretty good at, or card games I'm actually pretty decent at. Unless it's Nerds, that game is like way fast-paced. But
you are gonna have to. You're gonna have to remind me how to play that. I have not played that since I was probably about 13 or 14 years old. So I used to play it with my aunt all the time.
Well, it was recently introduced into my family by my cousin Steven's wife, Allison, who that was like their big game in their family, and she brought it because our big game is a game called Wahoo, which is like a dice and marble game.
Yeah, which you have mentioned on previous episodes.
I have.
And I grew up with Wahoo boards too. You know, the carpenter men in my family would make them. You know.
Yeah.
And
my dad made me one,
and we always enjoyed those. It's a lot like Parcheesi, so and
or Sorry if you're a 90s kid.
No, the 70s, please.
Oh, Sorry is extra Parcheesi. It's Parcheesi with like oomph
and a pop
I've
thing
never
in the
played
middle, right?
Parcheesi.
So the dice don't come apart.
Parcheesi, yeah.
Oh, well, I've got Parcheesi. If you like Wahoo, you'll like Parcheesi. We'll have to play that sometime, too.
But, she introduced it into the family, and so the family plays that now, too.
That's fun. Yeah.
And there's a domino game that my family and my dad's family likes to play. I think it's called Mexican Train, and Jason's family really likes to play it, so... They asked me last time we got together, hey, have you ever played this game? And I'm like, oh, yeah. And those are definitely, like, games that my family gets really competitive on.
Right, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we get kind of nasty in a fun way.
Oh, yeah.
That we don't have people, like, flipping game boards over, but we like to go
See, and that was like my
deliberately
dad's
try
thing.
to like
look what I did to
stop
you.
my dad from
Mark is such a powerful and strategic and Steven too, but really my husband is the one that if he starts getting close to winning, then it's like all bets are off. No. Everybody is going out for him. They're out to take him down. Yeah. So, and it's kind of fun. It's a fun challenge to kind of keep the man down.
Well, I have a couple of games, just 2 right now that I could think of like immediately off the top of my head. Because I was like, I wonder if you guys are going to list off any games that I've never played. So Nerds is one. But there are 2 games that I have never fully learned how to play. I've had someone sit down and teach me, but I haven't like fully submerged myself enough to be like, I can play that game.
Oh, yeah.
One of them is poker. I suck at it. I'm always like, okay, what's next now? And then Magic the Gathering.
Oh, yeah. I've never played Magic either.
Well, I could probably sit you down and play both of those.
I know, but I think the problem with Magic,
deck.
I feel like I've never actually like fully grasped that game is because I don't own my own cards. So
that can get really expensive.
It makes it hard because you're playing with someone else's little deck that they put together for you, and you're like, okay, so you just showed me how to do this, and now I'm never going to see it ever again.
Yeah,
so.
You definitely need to put your own deck together, even if it's just a basic deck. And right now, I mean, I only have one deck because I don't play or go to tournaments really. Mm-hmm. So I just have like my one original deck that's like so old now, probably like 12 years old.
Yeah,
that the game has evolved so much that
I know, and that's
wouldn't
where
even
I'm
do
like,
anything.
dang,
like,
I don't
it's
even know,
changing. Like you have to read on it and constantly buy new stuff, and that's I guess kind of like D&D maybe. I don't know. Yeah, like you always have to constantly get new stuff, any kind of game like that.
Right, you can't just walk up and pull the first thing on the shelf that you see, because like with D&D, you might be getting an expansion booklet or
Yeah,
something.
you really have to do your research if you're wanting to get into that game.
Yeah. And that's why I haven't done it, because I feel like I need some hand holding. And it would be so easy. I know of 2 places off the top of my head where I could just walk over there or drive and be like, hey, I want to start playing this game. Tell me what to buy.
Right.
And I'm sure the sales clerk would be more than happy to show me.
Oh, yeah.
My brother-in-law is actually a Magic the Gathering judge. And
I was about to say, he hasn't gotten you into that yet.
I know, right?
Well, he does. He lives in Florida now.
Yeah,
right?
he moved to Florida.
Okay.
I know.
I
was like,
realize that he moved
my
to Florida.
contact moved away. But I
know some people if you're wanting to get into
and I
it.
do too. Like I went actually to one of the stores, like in one of our cities here, that has like little tournament on the weekend, and I actually went there, and someone let me use their deck, and I played with other people, and that was really fun. And it was with people I knew, so it was kind of like, just hanging out with friends, but we were rotating, chairs playing each other.
Right.
Yeah. And I enjoyed that a lot, and I thought, man, that would be really fun, but I just haven't ever like invested in it. Someday I will. It's like on my bucket list before I die. I want to play that game and be good at it.
I mean, if you're ever wanting to get back into it, I'll get back into it with you.
Right.
But it's been probably about 10 years since I've played.
See, I think Raina would enjoy it.
Well, see, there's a couple of games that I have not played, and along those lines of the card games, Pokemon and Pokemon Go.
Okay, so that's very similar to Magic the Gathering.
Right, my son had the Pokemon cards, and then people play the Pokemon Go on their phones or whatever. I've always wanted to learn how to play bridge. Because
you're not old enough. No.
I know I'm not old enough.
I'm the wrong 70 to play bridge.
No,
I'm just kidding.
No, I mean, it used to be that women of my age, that's what they started doing, was playing bridge. But not so many people play it anymore. And I've never ever watched anybody play. I don't know, but I always wanted to. And what was the other? I was thinking of another one a second ago. Pinochle. I've never played Pinochle, which is also a card game, and I've always wanted to play that as well.
See, I don't think I've ever played Pinochle either.
Well, and I hear it's pretty cutthroat, so but both are games where you and Texas Hold'em. I can play a lot of different variations of poker and gambling card games, but I've never played Texas Hold'em, and I've taken lessons at the casino. They have like a little video thing where you can do the little lesson. Here's how it works, but I've never actually got to sit down and play with anybody, and I want to do that sometime. So
see, that was the game of my parents, Texas Hold'em. Like they would go with their friends and have Texas Hold'em game nights.
Oh yeah, see, we would just have poker night, and whoever the dealer was called the game. So we might have played 5-card stud. We might have played 5-card draw. We might have played 7-card draw. You know, we played all the games. But back in those days, I don't know where Texas Hold'em came from. I never heard of Texas Hold'em until we moved to the Dallas
late
area.
90s, yeah.
It was just
I think that was when the gambling
thing
on TV started becoming a thing, or the poker on TV.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Really quick before you wrap everything up, because I know we've talked about a bunch of different games, but maybe you guys have heard of this game. I don't remember what it was called or exactly what the purpose in the game was, but I do remember there was something we put on the table, and there were certain places where you put cards, and you played with a deck of cards, and had something to do with either an ace or a king.
Was it
spades or hearts?
Rummy? Some kind of rummy? Or
I don't think it was a rummy. No, it wasn't gin rummy, because I love gin.
Because there is a progressive rummy or something that my mom and
I don't think it was like
Patsy
that.
played that had a board made out of cards.
Yeah, no, I liked that too. But no, it wasn't that. But it was something like, I don't know. I just thought maybe you knew.
So what would describe the board? Maybe we could figure.
I just
maybe one of our listeners will know what it.
I was thinking it was
like a board with cards.
No, it's not a board. It was like a felt thing that we laid out on the table.
Some kind of poker.
No, maybe? It wasn't a poker though.
Blackjack.
No, it wasn't any of those type of Vegas type card games.
Wow.
Huh. So that's the only thing I can think of, like if you laid out a velvet mat to play or whatever.
Unless it was something like spoons or something, or where you had, I don't know, or
what is spoons?
Huh?
What is spoons?
I'm trying to remember how that game.
Like you swap the cards and you have spoons in the middle. And once you get like matching cards, everybody picks up a spoon or something like that.
Yeah, it's been so long since I played that one.
That does kind of sound familiar. It's kind of fast paced.
Yeah, very fast.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah, you're playing really fast. Yeah.
Well, that's the way Nerds is too.
Yeah, Nerds is really fast.
And Nerds, you're playing into the middle,
and everybody has their own deck.
Everybody has their own deck of cards, and you're doing like a kind of solitaire thing in front of you, and you've got a pile you're trying to get rid of, right?
Yeah, and like you're doing solitaire like all over the board.
Yes.
And like there's a different deck of cards for everybody.
Everybody has a different deck of cards.
Trying to
but you're playing on each other.
Yeah, you're playing on each other, and you're trying to build them up and get rid of your cards first.
Yes.
Huh.
It's very fast paced too, and it's a lot of fun. And I think you can play that with like 2 or 3 players and up. I think
I've played it like with 6. Like that's a lot of deck of cards, but you can play it with.
Have you seen my closet?
I mean, if you have like every person has to have like a different color type deck of cards. So
oh man, remember Rebecca in college?
Yeah,
she was across the hall from Amber and I, and she was just like, "Hey, you want to hang out one day?" And I was like, "Sure." And she was like, "Do you want to play this game called Hand and Foot?"
Oh, I've heard of that one. I've never played that either.
I don't know what that game is, but okay. And she was like, it takes 4 card decks. Do you have any? And I was like, yeah, I have 2. And she had 2. And we you shuffle all your deck of cards together, all 4 of them. And we played that game nonstop forever. Yeah, that was really fun.
Oh, Miss Rebecca. Maybe she's listening.
Right. Hi, Rebecca.
Well, I guess that's going to be it for this episode. And we have another episode coming up next week. And who's going to be the hostess on that episode?
Me.
That's Kristen. Tell us about that episode.
So, yes, next week we got another fun kind of pop culture episode coming your way. Next week, we will be discussing superpowers and what would be your superpower. And we have a couple of questions for discussion on that.
That's going to be fun. I've already kind of started thinking ahead about that one. So I hope you're thinking about
think about your superpower for next week. And we'd also like to give special thanks to Red Door Studios and Creative Audio Tech for our music and recording equipment. And then we'd also like to thank our listeners. If you are listening, go and give us a review on whatever medium you're listening on.
Yeah.
And don't forget to check out our blog and Facebook group, MMC Chat, because if you're listening to this podcast, it's only part of the conversation. So we'll pick up this conversation next week with our superpower discussion. So tune in. Bye, guys.
Bye.